Close to this time of year, 22nd of November to be precise, 304 years ago, one of history's most notorious pirates met his end. The story of the final moments of Edward Teach, or Thatch, otherwise and indeed better known as Blackbeard, is the stuff of legend. Teach was believed to have been born around 1680, so would have been in his late 30s when his deeds finally caught up with him in 1718. His early life, like the exact date of his birth, is murkier than the depths of Davy Jones's locker, so we must turn to his more documented and likely embellished time on the island of New Providence in the Bahamas. The island's main settlement, Nassau, had become home to the so-called Pirate Republic, which attracted a host of infamous privateers turned pirates when it became a base for Captain Benjamin Hornigold. Teach joined Hornigold's crew in around 1716. Sometime after this, Hornigold was overthrown by his crew in an effectively democratic process. He quit piracy and accepted a royal pardon in 1717. Blackbeard later captured a French ship called La Concorde, which he renamed Queen Anne's Revenge, which served as his flagship in a burgeoning fleet. He crewed the Revenge with 300 men, and she bristled with an astonishing 40 guns. These pirate fleets, purloined as they were from elite naval powers of the age like Britain and France, were effectively private military flotillas able to go toe-to-toe with the armed vessels of legitimate sovereign states. As such, they presented considerable security problems for the colonies and the navies of their European overlords. After kitting out the Revenge, Blackbeard then embarked on a storied and fearsome but short career, where he used absolute terror as a weapon to plunder booty and seize ships. He was said to have put burning, slow fuses in his voluminous facial hair to create the notion that he was a demon and instill fear in his victims, who saw the billowing, acrid smoke emanating from his face. In one bold episode, he assembled a mass alliance of pirate fleets alongside fellow pirate captain Stede Bonnet, and together with others they blockaded the port of Charlestown in South Carolina. Then they ransomed the port's inhabitants. But things did not always go swimmingly for Blackbeard. He later ran aground near Beaufort, North Carolina, and took up a landlubber's life for a time in Bathtown in the territory. It was here that Teach accepted a royal pardon, which was seen as a convenient and inexpensive mechanism to bring the pirate menace to heel by the crown. But it was never going to last, as Blackbeard reneged on the deal and soon put to sea again. But over the course of his piratical practices, he had made powerful enemies, not least the whole of the Admiralty, but in particular Alexander Spotswood, the colonial governor of Virginia. Spotswood sent a militia in pursuit of Blackbeard, and it was as a result of this that fate, in the form of Lieutenant Robert Maynard, finally caught up with him. The dramatic description of Teach's final battle is relayed wonderfully in the 1724 book, A General History of the Pirates, strongly suspected to have been penned by none other than Robinson Crusoe author Daniel Defoe, although it was published under the pen name of Captain Charles Johnson. The book crystallised the modern and enduring image of pirates and piracy that influenced Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island and Long John Silver through to Captain Jack Sparrow of Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean fame. It describes Blackbeard's features in the following manner. This beard was black, which he suffered to grow of an extravagant length. As to breadth, it came up to his eyes. He was accustomed to twist it with ribbons in small tails, after the manner of our Ramillies wigs, and turn them about his ears. In time of action, he wore a sling over his shoulders, with 3 brace of pistols hanging in holsters like bandoliers, and struck lighted matches under his hat, which appeared on each side of his face. His eyes, naturally looking fierce and wild, made him altogether such a figure that imagination cannot form an idea of a fury from hell to look more frightful. Lieutenant Maynard eventually hunted down this fury from hell to Ocracoke Island in North Carolina on the evening of the 21st of November. He had worked out the pirates' position from the ships he had stopped along the way, but owing to his unfamiliarity with the area, he waited until the following morning to mount his attack. He halted all shipping from entering the inlet lest they warn Blackbeard of what was to come, and made sure to cut off any sea-bound escape route. Blackbeard was trapped. But he didn't know it, as he was busy entertaining guests in the usual drunken manner one might associate with pirates, and he had not posted a lookout. The general history has it that when Blackbeard realised the situation he was in, his reaction was described thus. "Damn you for villains, who are you, and from whence came you?" The lieutenant made him answer, "You may see by our colours we are no pirates." Blackbeard bid him send his boat on board, that he might see who he was, but Mr. Maynard replied thus, "I cannot spare my boat, but I will come aboard of you as soon as I can with my sloop." Upon this, Blackbeard took a glass of liquor and drank to him with these words, "Damnation seize my soul if I give you quarters or take any from you." In answer to which Mr. Maynard told him that he expected no quarters from him, nor should he give him any. The remainder of the account and Maynard's successful ruse in keeping his men hidden below deck until they were boarded is best described verbatim from the general history. It read, "By this time Blackbeard's sloop floated as Mr. Maynard's sloops were rowing towards him, which, not above a foot high in the waist, and consequently the men all exposed, as they came near together, there being hitherto little or no execution done on either side, the pirate fired a broadside, charged with all manner of small shot, a fatal stroke to them, the sloop the lieutenant was in having 20 men killed and wounded, and the other sloop 9. This could not be helped, for there being no wind, they were obliged to keep to their oars, otherwise the pirate would have got away from him, which it seems the lieutenant was resolute to prevent. After this unlucky blow, Blackbeard's sloop fell broadside to the shore. Mr. Maynard's other sloop, which was called the Ranger, fell astern, being for the present disabled. So the lieutenant, finding his own sloop had way and would soon be on board of Teach, he ordered all his men down for fear of another broadside, which must have been their destruction and the loss of the expedition. Mr. Maynard was the only person that kept the deck, except the man at the helm, whom he directed to lie down snug, and the men in the hold were ordered to get their pistols and their swords ready for close fighting, and to come up at his command, in order to which 2 ladders were placed in the hatchway for the more expedition. When the lieutenant's sloop boarded the other, Captain Teach's men threw in several new-fashioned sort of grenadoes, viz. Case bottles filled with powder and small shot, slugs and pieces of lead or iron, with a quick match at the end of it, which, being lighted outside, presently runs into the bottle to the powder. As it is instantly thrown on board, it generally does great execution, besides putting all the crew into a confusion, but by good providence they had not that effect here, the men being in the hold. And Blackbeard, seeing few or no hands aboard, told his men that they were all knocked on the head except 3 or 4, and therefore, says he, let's jump on board and cut them to pieces. Whereupon, under the smoke of one of the bottles just mentioned, Blackbeard enters with 14 men over the bows of Maynard's sloop, and they were not seen by him until the air cleared. However, he just then gave a signal to his men, who all rose in an instant and attacked the pirates with as much bravery as ever was done upon such an occasion. Blackbeard and the lieutenant fired the first pistol at each other, by which the pirate received a wound, and then engaged with swords till the lieutenant's unluckily broke, and stepping back to cock a pistol, Blackbeard with his cutlass was striking at that instant that one of Maynard's men gave him a terrible wound in the neck and throat, by which the lieutenant came off with a small cut over his fingers. They were so closely and warmly engaged, the lieutenant and 12 men against Blackbeard and 14, till the sea was tinctured with blood round the vessel. Blackbeard received a shot in his body from the pistol that Lieutenant Maynard discharged, yet he stood his ground and fought with great fury, till he received 25 wounds, and 5 of them by shot. At length, as he was cocking another pistol, having fired several before, he fell down dead, by which time 8 more of the 14 dropped, and all the rest, much wounded, jumped overboard and called out for quarter, which was granted, though it was only prolonging their lives for a few days. The sloop Ranger came up and attacked the men that remained in Blackbeard's sloop with equal bravery, till they likewise cried for quarter. The account concluded, here was an end of that courageous brute, who might have passed in the world for a hero, had he been employed in a good cause. His destruction, which was of such consequence to the plantations, was entirely owing to the conduct and bravery of Lieutenant Maynard and his men, who might have destroyed him with much less loss had they had one vessel with great guns. But they were obliged to use small vessels, because the holes and places he lurked in would not admit of others of greater draught. And it was no small difficulty for this gentleman to get to him, having grounded his vessel at least 100 times in getting up the river, besides other discouragements enough to have turned back any gentleman without dishonour who was less resolute and bold than this lieutenant. Teach's mortal remains were not treated with reverence. His body was thrown into the inlet, a watery grave for this seafaring terror, though not before his head was mounted on the bowsprit of Maynard's sloop as a grisly trophy. On their return to Virginia, the head was placed on a pole at the entrance to the Chesapeake Bay to serve as a warning to other pirates and a greeting to other ships. It apparently remained there for a number of years, and so ended the colourful career of Blackbeard. Although, as mentioned, his legacy failed to sink without trace and remains with us to this day. This is thanks largely to the general history of the pirates, which has been questioned as to its veracity, but whether it represents the unvarnished truth or no small measure of yo-ho-hokum, what a story it is. That's it for this video. Don't forget to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. And you can also support the channel on Subscribestar via the link in the description. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.